Hello, I'm Tim Jordan and I'm recording this video interview with Ann Petersen. Hi Ann.
Hi Tim.
So Ann, I'm glad you could be with us today. Tell us a little bit about your connection to the field of nutrition.
Well, it goes back far. Well, I would
You're not
say
that
it was
old.
a subconscious connection, an unconscious connection to nutrition when I was a child. I ate terribly. I ate a lot of cookies and cake and candy and chocolate and no vegetables. I learned that from my dad. But as time went on, in my early adulthood, I got very, very sick. And I was diagnosed as bipolar. I was psychotic. They didn't even know how to classify me. So what they did was they gave me lithium, and they figured if that worked, they would classify me as a manic depressive.
I think a lot of our audience is familiar with bipolar disorder, the newer name for the disorder.
Yes.
It used to be called manic depression.
Yeah.
Well, how did you change all this and what prompted it?
Well, for about 9 years, or a good chunk of my early adulthood, I was taking heavy psychotropics. I was taking lithium, I was taking diazepamine, imipramine, Haldol, Cogentin. I have a long list. They don't all come to mind right now, but I was on a lot of different medications, and it was quite awful. I felt like I had a chemical lobotomy, and I was just sort of floating through life, directionless, not feeling any purpose. But then I got excited about firefighting because I was always a physical kind of person.
Firefighting?
Yes, yes. And then I realized that I had to train for that. I had to train hard. Because I also figured that since I'm an artist, I would have blocks of time off to do my art. Well, the process of working hard, working out, helped me level my blood sugar. And I started to detox more readily because of the heavy sweating. But as a firefighter, I guess it was the third season out of 5.
I should mention that you're referring to wildfires.
Wildfires, yes, wildfires. I was with the State Forestry in California. Then it was called CDF. Now they call it CAL FIRE. Well, I started getting these very intense gut pains and getting confused, not on the fire, because on the fire you had adrenaline, and that really focused me. But I would be very forgetful, and I had so much pain. And so I went to a doctor. I basically crawled in to see Dr. Randy Baker at a emergency clinic. And he proposed the idea that I might have Candida albicans overgrowth. And he said, read these books. He was encouraging me to do my own research. And I went out and got those books right away. One was The Yeast Connection by Dr. William Crook. Another was A Missing Diagnosis by Orion Truss, MD. And I got so excited. And I ran to my psychiatrist and I said, look, I've got this condition. I just know it. And he said, put the books away. You have a heavy mental illness. You're going to have to be on drugs for the rest of your life. But you may be able to lead a near normal existence. And I was very discouraged by that. But the pains didn't go away. So I went back to a different doctor to see what it was all about. And it was misdiagnosed as PID. So I was on, which is pelvic inflammatory disease caused by an infection. And so they put me on antibiotics. And they also put me on heavy hormones to simulate pregnancy. And this caused my candida overgrowth to go wild. It just overgrew, and I felt almost like I was going to die. I think I could have died. And at the same time, another psychiatrist who was filling in for my regular one was concerned about me being on lithium while I was fighting fire, because they said that sweating too much would cause a concentration or an elevated level of lithium that could be toxic. So he put me on something called carbamazepine. Tegretol is the other name for it, but that was highly immunosuppressive, and I just went through hell. I couldn't focus. I had thrush that I couldn't get rid of. My hair started falling out. I got very, very weak. My moods went all over the place. It was just ironic that that was supposed to be solving my mood problem. So eventually I came back to the idea of the Candida albicans overgrowth, and I went on a Candida diet, and that's when the big changes happened. It was extremely difficult because I had to change the way I thought about food. I had to rearrange my focus to not concentrate on what I couldn't eat, but concentrate on what I could eat and try to make it fun for myself. And so that's what I did. And I started loving foods that I'd never even tried before. And I started really having fun. And together with training, continued training for firefighting, the physical activity, running 4 miles a day, doing weights for an hour and a half, almost every day, and eating really purely, within a month and a half, I was able to drop all my psychotropics. And I just felt like so good, like the best times when I was young. And so that was very rewarding.
It's a very compelling story. I appreciate you sharing that level of personalization. We all value from that. Now that you've made this turn in your life, it's well established, what are your concerns now?
Well, my concerns are that my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I may or may not have the genes for that, or if she was suffering dementia from some other cause, it's likely, since she had a thyroid problem, that we have similar genes, similar challenges, and I have experienced some scary lapses in judgment and awareness and memory. When I was a school bus driver, I think maybe the diesel fumes may have had something to do with that, and I did have an exposure to carbon monoxide in the old place that I lived in Prescott. But I do find that I still struggle with mental energy, focus sometimes, word recall, and follow through. I know that I have low dopamine levels sometimes because while I was homeless, I did go through a period of homelessness before I found out about my gluten sensitivity, because I had to eat cheap food because of financial situation. I ended up homeless, and I did discover that Wellbutrin and Adderall worked very well as far as focus goes. And for the first time in my life, I was able to focus on, I was studying 3D animation, and I could keep in my mind all the layers of the menu. And before, I just had no focus. I could not follow through. It was just too much. And I couldn't remember those levels. I couldn't function, but I got an A. So this was exhilarating for me to know that I had the capacity somewhere, somehow, to do these challenging intellectual things. But it's bad for you. The Adderall is very bad for the heart. The Wellbutrin can wear off as your body adapts to it. So I want to, although I'm not anywhere near as bad as I was, because I'm gluten-free and I try to pay attention to what I'm eating, there are still things that I need to discover about my health. And so I want to go to a functional medicine practitioner. My friend Tim is going to be going to Emily Park in Paradise Valley, and I would love to go to her as well. I would like to learn if there are any underlying infections and what they are. I want to know if I have any imbalances in my gut flora and what they are. I want to know any of the factors that may be contributing to my current struggles. And also, I want to get my brain really sharp because I plan to go back to school. So what I'm asking for is some help financially, because my insurance does not pay for that kind of mental health and root cause resolution medicine. So the other thing that I may consider asking for is some help with some of the prerequisites for a master's degree in human nutrition and functional medicine. That really lights my fire. And because I already have a BA in media arts for social change from Prescott College, I can't get any government help with these intermediate courses, the precursors to the master's degree. So those are the two things that I would like to have help with: straightening out my brain issues and the preliminary courses necessary for my master's degree.
Well, you're certainly a deserving individual. We appreciate you again sharing so clearly and how compelling your story has been for us.
Thank you, Tim.
Makes us think twice. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I think we'll pass along to the next interview.
Okay. Thank you so much in advance for your generosity.
Thank you, Anne.
Bye-bye.
Bye.